Hey guys, this is Ref from Into Gaming. You can go in here and I'm going to fire off projectiles at a stupid fast rate. Nothing you'd ever put in a game for any reason whatsoever. We're doing, with this right now, we are doing 600,000 centimeters a second. We're getting our two hits here. We're getting a double hit, and get up here and I can see that. The green one is the server's projectile, and the red one is the client's. I'm doing client auth server, client fakey server auth setup. The client fires its own local projectile. It's not replicated, nothing. It RPCs the server. The server fires its own authoritative projectile based on where the authoritative proxy is currently aiming on the server simulation. That's not replicated. So we're not doing any kind of projectile replication here. So this is all client and server doing their own independent. The server's just passing back where it hit um, to all clients, so every client knows what the deal is for real. So you can see that the size of the projectiles that I'm using is 0.1 centimeter radius. So 100 millimeter radius projectile. The speed is 600,000 centimeters per second, and you see me hitting a sheet plane. That is a sheet plane. And no matter where I'm at, how close, how far back, whatever, I get my hits. I'm getting constant hits. And every stinking one of them, you get a client hit and you get a server hit. There's no leakage whatsoever. They're not just passing through this. 600 centimeters with a 0.1 centimeter, 600,000 centimeter speed, velocity, which I'll show you that real quick. Class defaults, so muzzle velocity that I'm using right there. Let's change it to something stupid. 500,000, compile, or 5,000, I'm sorry. Get that in there. Bloop, 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 bloop. And there it is. There's a little red, and there's a little green. So normally the velocity would be applied via the weapon, would determine all that stuff, but I don't have weapons on this. It's just coming spawning straight off the client muzzle, which is a sphere in front of the player. This little guy right here, the little block, that's what he's doing. And the collision on this, you can see it cleanly, is 0.1 sphere. Boom. Sphere collision. And that's inside here. That's that little pecker right there. The bullet visual has no collision, zero collision. The actual collision that I'm moving, PMC is moving. Let's see, I wanted to show you this. It's not using CCD. The server's collision is not using CCD. It's basically default settings across the board on projectile movement, so I'm not doing anything extra. Four-step PMC, 4 steps, forces sub-stepping when there's gravity. So projectile gravity scale is 1.0. It's greater than 0. Four-stepping, sub-stepping will be applied, period. And these are the settings. They're all default. Sweep collision, default. This is what gets you your hits, period. As long as you have a proper collision set up that's going to block things. I have a projectile object type, and everything in my world blocks projectile by default. So this is going to, as long as you have everything set up correctly, you're solid. You get information. This is tick-based interpolation for projectiles. There's no physics. If there was physics involved, so if I had this collision ticked for physics to simulate physics verbatim right here, PMC just acts like a catapult. It doesn't continuously per tick interpolate the movement. It catapults and then it stops. It acts as a cannon, basically. You're going to get the initial velocity applied to the collision on here, or whatever component you got as your main primary update component. Boom, you got it. PMC gets disabled. Per docs, per C++ documentation, per the flow, you can walk through the C++ code, and it shows you how PMC works. But that's it. So everything on this is default. So if you do a default setup like this, you have a correct collision. And I'm going to show you how I have, um, where's it at? Config. Initial speed. I have an initial speed float here, and it's exposed on spawn. Okay. In the construction script of my projectile, let's go and look at the one here. I take muzzle velocity, which is that value that's applied, and I set it. Boom, there you go. That's the muzzle velocity. It sets the initial speed right here. If this value is greater than 0, it overrides initial velocity value. That's right here. So in this particular setup, I'm not passing in a velocity vector. Pretty easy to get that, but I am just doing a straight up pass in a speed in a transform, and boom, there we go. We have the projectile flying out. So very simple setup with these. So nothing, not a big deal kind of thing. Defaults across the board here. So 600,000 is what we're shooting for. So that's 5,000. Here's 600,000, which is insanely fast. That's basically 100 meters plus per tick per 16.67 milliseconds. Because I'm locked at 60 FPS, that means my projectile and the server's projectiles have a 60 hertz tick. So that's insanely fast. I'm FOV out, and if you full screen this, you can see the little red dot appear eventually. Yeah, I mean it's almost instantaneous. If you're at this kind of speed, just go hit scan. You don't need to do it. But the whole point of this is showing sheet plane hit, which is got a collision 100 by 100 by a z extent of 0. It's a sheet. Yeah, we got a sheet plane here, and that's what I'm targeting in the demo. A simple sheet plane at this ridiculous speed with a projectile size of 200 millimeters. So if you want questions on any of this stuff and my setup, or the debug one, which my debug projectile, which allows me to do all these other things. Let me just turn this thing on so you can see it. I'll drop this back down so we can get a more simplified. If you want more details on this thing and what's going on here, yeah, I'll be glad to do another video here. It just allows me to debug my projectiles and see what's going on with them, why, if there was something funky going on with the hit. So if the client was hitting one thing and the server another, so like if the client hit here and the server hit there, yeah, I would run the debug and it would help me figure out what's going on. But yeah. Yep. Any questions on that stuff, you just let me know. Hopefully this was enlightening, and if you have problems with your projectiles, just you can start a new post and ping me, hit me in a DM, or hit me up in a comment on YouTube. Gladly help you out. Thanks for watching.